Run it back, nation. What is good? It is your boy DJ Eastwood. Run it back, Philly. No frauds, no fanboys, no intros. Algo gang. Hit the like button on the video. That shoots me through the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to the channel if you're brand new. If you watch these videos, you're not subscribed. That is fraudulent behavior. This is no fraud zone. Turn your notifications on. If you want notifications and they're not working, turn them off. Turn them back on. YouTube notifications are weird sometimes. Let's get down to business. Thank you to everybody that came through the playback stream last night. Playback.tv/runitbackphilly. We watched the whole Sixers Heat game. It was a blast. Join us in there. It is the future of sports streaming. If you're not there yet, you're going to be there soon. All right, the Philadelphia 76ers, without Joel Embiid, who was a late scratch due to a sore left foot, beat the Miami Heat 119-96. So without Joel Embiid, the Sixers blow out the Miami Heat. Now, I know what you're going to say. I know what your haters are going to say. You Joel Embiid haters, because there is Joel Embiid haters in this city of Philadelphia. They hide the whole season. They wait for a game like this, and they say the Sixers are better without Joel Embiid. And they said the same thing when we went on that little bit of a run back when we were playing without James, Joel, and Maxey with all of those injuries we had at the beginning of the season. They were saying this team plays better without the stars, and the ball movement's better, and this or that. And just come on, bro. Look at the playoffs last year. As soon as Joel Embiid goes down in the playoffs against really good playoff teams who are giving you maximum effort every game, the Sixers are finished. So I'm not really interested in hearing the Sixers are better without Joel Embiid. It's ridiculous. This is one game. But I did love the effort. I loved how they stepped up. I loved how certain players stepped up. And they smacked the Miami Heat without Joel Embiid. I gotta be happy about that. I will say, obviously, the pace is a lot quicker without Joel on the floor, and the Sixers share the ball a lot better, but they have to do that because Joel is not there. Now, there is something interesting about Doc Rivers and his air quotes pecking order, because Doc Rivers is better without stars for whatever reason. Whenever there's no star on the floor and there's no actual game plan, the team seems like it does play better because you're not trying to force one thing. You're just taking what the defense gives you, sharing the ball, moving around, hustling, setting screens, rolling, popping, finding the open man, and playing basketball. I do think Doc kind of shoots the team in the foot a lot of times with Joel on the floor because he thinks he has to go Joel Embiid before anybody else. He thinks he has to feed Joel every single play, and that sometimes becomes a detriment because it ends up being Joel in the post, everybody on the perimeter standing around and watching, and the offense gets stagnant. So I do think there is more motion and more free-flowing offense without Joel, but that's not really a detriment to Joel. I think that's Doc Rivers and his pecking order. You heard him say it in that live practice on NBA TV before the season. He said, Joel's number one, James is number two. So, when Joel comes back, you really do see that. And Joel even called him out one time about that. When Joel was really moving the ball around and Doc basically told him to stop passing the ball and go get a bucket. And he said in a press conference, I said to Doc, I need to get my teammates involved. I'm just throwing that out there. Okay? But the Sixers are not better without Joel Embiid. I think Doc Rivers coaches better without stars on the floor. That's what I think about that. Harden stepped up in this game when we needed him. It was funny, right when I was talking trash about him flopping in the first quarter, trying to get a call from the referee, he hit 2 threes in a row, and he went on to give us, he was 6 for 15 from the floor, 17 points, 5 assists, 7 rebounds. 23 points, I'm sorry. He was a plus 17. He had 23 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. And I thought Harden was giving a lot of effort defensively in this game and just hustling for loose balls and things like that. Things that you sometimes see James Harden kind of, not give 110% on. I really think he was doing that this game, and if we can get that level of effort from James Harden in the playoffs, we're looking good moving forward. Obviously, Tyrese Maxey had a huge game. he was in a starting lineup because without Joel, Doc went wild with the lineups, and it ended up working. It's like, again, it's like Doc gets creative when he's forced to. Like, that's really what I'm seeing here. There was a lot of different experiments lineup-wise in this game because he didn't have Joel. And if Doc could just have that level of creativity with all of the stars on the floor, I think this team could be really, really good. But anyway, Tyrese Maxey gets the start, plays a lot of minutes alongside James Harden, is what I've been saying. He's better with a point guard. And he gives you 27 points and 7 assists. So we'll have to see what they do tonight against the Dallas Mavericks. But I've been saying for a while, first of all, I said don't put Maxey on the bench because he's better with James Harden. He's better with a point guard. And now he finally gets back in the starting lineup and he drops 27 on you. So I don't want to say I'm right all the time, but I'm basically 100% right all the time. It just is what it is, man. Another big story in this game, obviously, is Paul Reed. B-ball Paul got it out the mud. Earns his backup center position once again. How many times is Paul Reed going to have to prove that he is a solid backup center? I don't understand why people just won't accept the fact that Paul Reed gives you what you need at the backup center position. He gives you what you need at the backup center position. It doesn't have to be a superstar. It doesn't have to be a veteran. It doesn't have to be, you didn't have to go sign Montrezl Harrell. It doesn't have to be PJ Tucker because he's 37 and has been through the playoffs. Just play the 6'9" athletic player that can rebound and defend the rim. I've been saying that same thing all season long. Paul Reed, Doc started PJ Tucker at center, which I thought was insane against Bam Adebayo. You know, why are you starting PJ Tucker at center against Bam Adebayo? And it wasn't pretty in the first quarter. It just wasn't. You know, the first quarter, Bam Adebayo had 6 points and 2 rebounds. The second quarter, Bam Adebayo had 8 points and 3 rebounds. So Bam had a quick 14 in the first half. The fourth quarter, interestingly enough, PJ Tucker did not play. Paul Reed played the entire fourth quarter. Bam Adebayo was a goose egg and a -6. Now, I know the Sixers blew out the Heat, and the Heat didn't play all of their players the entire fourth quarter, but I'm just saying. You played the 6'5" center on Bam. He had some success. You panic played Paul Reed like you always do. And he proved to you that he is a solid backup center. Paul Reed had 16 points, 14 rebounds, 2 blocks, and was a plus 26. Now, what other evidence do you need to continue to play Paul Reed at backup center? What other evidence do you need? Doc goes with 6'5" PJ Tucker at center. He realizes that ended up being a bad idea. Now I got to play the athletic rebounder. And I'll never figure out why he has to do that and witness it not work and then put Paul Reed in the game. Just do what you did in the Toronto Raptors series last season. Play Joel Embiid at center and back him up with Paul Reed. Call it a day, move forward. I just don't get it. But anyway, the story of how the Sixers won the game, or the key to them actually putting this damn thing away, was the third quarter and the lineups in the third quarter. I said this when we first signed Jalen McDaniels. I would like to see Paul Reed, DeAnthony Melton, and Jalen McDaniels on the floor together just to see what that would look like, and to see, or the second quarter, I'm sorry. It wasn't it was the second quarter, I'm sorry, where the Sixers ran this DeAnthony Melton, Paul Reed, Jalen McDaniels lineup the second half of the second quarter, and they annihilated the Miami Heat. They made the Miami Heat's offense a nightmare in the second quarter. That lineup of Paul Reed, 6'9", length, athleticism, rebounding, steals, blocks, combined with Jalen McDaniels' length, athleticism, rebounding, steals, blocks, combined with DeAnthony Melton, Not necessarily length, but athleticism, rebounding, steals, blocks. Those three guys on the floor made life a living hell for the Miami Heat's offense in the second quarter, and that put the game away. The Sixers scored 37 points in the second quarter. They were a plus 22. Anthony Melton in the second quarter was a plus 22. Jalen McDaniels was a plus 10. Paul Reed was a plus 17. Paul Reed had 6 points, 5 rebounds, 2 offensive rebounds, and a block in the second quarter. Anthony Melton had 6 points, a rebound, an assist, and a steal in the second quarter. Doc needs to experiment with those guys a lot more. It's not rocket science. Those are the 3 most athletic players on the entire roster. Put them on the floor. You saw in this game what happens when you put them on the floor. Also, Doc Rivers did not play George Niang in this game, which is funny because he played him last game against the Miami Heat, and George Niang got his ass kicked in the paint against Bam Adebayo, which, again, anybody with a working brain could have predicted. 6'8", can't jump over a Pepsi can. George Niang can't play against the Miami Heat. He probably can't play against most playoff teams in the playoffs, period. So Doc plays him against the Miami Heat last game, sees that was a disaster, decides to not play him this game. Doc's quote on not playing George Niang in this game was that the Miami Heat go small and there wasn't any bigs out there for George Niang to defend. He actually said that, bro. That makes me nervous moving towards the playoffs because Doc Rivers in a press conference just said that he thinks George Niang can defend centers in the NBA. Maybe he was just saying that to not slander George Niang too much because he likes him. But the truth is, George Niang cannot play defense against athletic players in the NBA, and he's unplayable against the Miami Heat. That's the truth. It's not because they go small and there's no center for him to defend. Then why'd you play him the game before that, Doc? Huh? You don't have to lie to me. You don't have to lie to me. Come on now. That's really it, man. That's really all I got. The Sixers beat the Heat. It was an embarrassing loss for the Heat at home. Not that anybody cares because there's no Heat fans in the arena in Miami because they're hanging out at the beach and doing other things besides watching a basketball team. Paul Reed was really the story of the game. Doc didn't play George Niang. Tyrese Maxey in the starting lineup puts up 27. You know, the evidence is right there. I think a bench of Anthony Melton, Jalen McDaniels, and Paul Reed is the bench you should probably go with, but he won't. He won't do that. I would expect next game, the first player off the bench you'll see is George Niang and Tyrese Maxey, and Melton will be back in the starting lineup. The best system for this team right here is the starting lineup with Maxey in it and bringing D'Anthony Melton, Jalen McDaniels, and Paul Reed off the bench. I just think that's obvious. That's where I'm at with it. Y'all give me all your thoughts and opinions in the comments. What do you think of this Sixers win? And tonight against the Dallas Mavericks, I got 2 of my close friends from my hometown coming over to watch the game with me, and we will all 3 be live on Playback TV, playback.tv/runitbackphilly. We'll be hanging out, drinking some brewskis, watching some ball. So come in there and join the party. All right? Y'all have a good one, man. Peace.